Aura.
ただお前を殺す。また新しい呪いとして生まれたら、そいつも殺す。名前を変えても、姿を変えても、何度でも殺す。俺が死んで何百年も経った後なのかもしれない。
Jujutsu Kaisen has had a metric shit ton of fights. Like, JJK Aura literally garnered a name for himself, delivering fight after fight after fight. Every chapter each week just felt like a way for JJK to try and express himself and leave us as hyped as humanly possible. So, with that being said, I'm here to rank the top 10 fights in Jujutsu Kaisen based on Raw Aura. In my opinion, please don't flame me.
Sometimes you gotta close the door to open a window.
Now, before we get any further into this video, I just want to say, if you would, I would like y'all to like and subscribe, and also consider supporting the Patreon, as it helps me take these videos to the next level. Appreciate you. But coming in at number 10, we have Mai Zenon versus the Zenin clan. Now, this fight may not be just a straight-up 1v1, but when has Jujutsu Kaisen just ever stuck to traditional 1v1s? This series earned the nickname Jump Jujutsu Kaisen for a reason, and in this particular setting, it was Mai Zenon handing out the beating of a lifetime, and one particular reason that I just loved this fight as a whole. It was kind of a wrap-up for Maki's character arc in a weird way. Her goal from the very start of the series was to basically annihilate the Zenin clan and kind of start again, as she mentioned to Yuta way back when in Chapter 0, so to see Maki finally come full circle into finally crushing the family, it was certainly a cathartic moment to say the least. However, you know, it was at great cost to Maki here. Her losing her sister Mai was the catalyst that allowed her to fully awaken as a heavily restricted user, a person whose sheer physicality was enough to put hands on most sorcerers. Case in point, naoya zenin. Seeing Maki beat the ever-loving piss out of this little misogynistic asshole, and then proceeding to kill most of the elite fighters, if not all of the elite fighters that the Zenin clan had to offer, it certainly put a fucking smile on my face. And we can't forget the fact that Maki's raw, unfiltered aura throughout this entire fight was just unmatched. I mean, look at this panel. It had her, it made her look demonic, not to mention her father and the fear that she instilled in her father, just reminding that man of Toji. Truly a beautiful fight. At number 9, we have Yuji versus Choso. This fight, it has it all. Stakes, beautiful choreography, underlying storylines between two brothers, and who could forget Raw Aura. Yuji vs Choso was just already beautiful in the manga, genuinely a beautiful fight, but seeing it animated when Shibuya finally dropped, it did things to my soul. That shit made my balls tingle. But what more can I say, man? This colour palette of the fight, the music, the tension, the sheer hands thrown, and not to mention the references to famous films, shout out The Raid, Yuji vs Choso truly holds a special place in my heart. I mean, just look at this sequence, this standoff between two brothers who know not that they are brothers, but are treating each other as mortal enemies, both pawns in a much larger game than they can even comprehend. And now, if this list wasn't based on just Raw Aura, I want you to know that this fight would be much higher in the rankings, because everything that went into this fight was just perfect. And if you want to see a video on that, I actually made one about this a little bit while ago, so go check that out.
手ぶらの俺も気取る感の良さ。このジムからにじみ出る異質な呪力を陸眼のお前が見落とすわけがねえ。
Sitting pretty at number 8 is Toji versus Gojo. Now, I know there's going to be some folks out here screaming, pissing, crying, and shitting, all at the fact that I put Toji and Gojo at number 8. And while this fight was absolutely gas, there is better ones, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. But even then, saying this was a fight it's kind of simply, it's not really correct saying this was a fight, because these two basically just took turns apiece, beating the ever fuck out of each other. Round 1 for Toji consisted of him showing the world how, with a bit of planning, prep time, and just a little bit of being a genetic freak who looks like he's taken way too much trend with Sam Sulek, that anything is absolutely possible. Seeing Toji just pull up with a sword in hand and a smile on his face, it sent a shiver down my timbers, and this man said, "You can't be touched? You sure about that?" And then proceeded to beat the ever-loving piss out of Gojo, slicing him top to bottom as if he wasn't Jujutsu's Jesus here. It was truly an insane thing, but Toji, what he did was nothing compared to the comeback of Gojo's awakening here in this round 2 of this fight, because Gojo's awakening, not only in the manga, but even more so in the anime, it took over the anime scene. It took over the world with the anime scene. Raw Aura encapsulated into a being so powerful that Toji thought he was tripping balls seeing this man floating nonchalantly in front of him. You know what? He's just a chill guy like that. But you know how chill you gotta be to get sliced up like this and then just proceed to float menacingly in front of the dude who did that to you and then proceed to sneeze a hole through him? Yeah, Gojo was and will forever be a fucking menace for this fight. Number 7, we have Yuji and Todo versus Sakuna. Now, you know damn well, whenever you see Yuji and Todo on screen together, you know damn well someone is getting their brakes beaten from underneath them. Hanami, Mahito, and Sakuna even caught that fade for a hot minute there, but what made this fight even better, for me personally, was how it served to not only introduce Todo into the manga, but it also gave us Boogie Woogie 2.0 here, which would allow Todo to swap himself, Sakuna, and Yuji approximately 50 times per second. You know how much of a fucking menace you have to be to have Sakuna, the literal king of cases, the man who bisected Gojo, to turn around and say, out of all of the possible people that could have arrived right now, you were the fucking worst one that could have arrived right now. Now listen, I don't even need to tell you just what kind of a beating Yuji and Todo put on Sakuna here, because we got combos. We got Todo throwing Yuji like an anger-filled missile. We got these motherfuckers swapping around so much that the Sakuna, he mistook where Yuji was going to land and kick the ever-loving piss out of Mei's crow right here, which to me personally I think is an absolutely hysterical moment, but that all led into Yuji landing a fucking beautiful black flash on Sakuna. Raw Aura. Todo's powers of schizophrenia, Yuji's powers of punching you in the fucking head, you just can't beat them, to be quite frank with you. You can't name a better duo to me personally.
You can see it, Maharaga! You can see my curse technique!
At number 6, we have Sakuna versus Mahara. Now, listen, I don't even think we really need to discuss just why this fight is in this list. I mean, the manga itself was already absolutely insane. Witnessing all of this unfold, it was beautiful. But then, Studio Mappa, they stepped in and said, I'm gonna cook, let me cook. Everything about Sakuna vs Maharaga as a fight was just truly awe-inspiring. The shots, the additional sequences from the anime, and more specifically this. Just look at this sequence and tell me it's not some of the best shit you've ever laid eyes upon. This is physical, visual, crack cocaine. Sakuna is boxing this motherfucker up, ducking, dodging, weaving, and grabbing his hands and drop-kicking this man through buildings. Maharaga, he did that, man, like it was just another Monday. Raw, unfiltered, fucking aura. Not to mention this pump fake. This one little sequence in and of itself became so many people's profile pictures, and honestly, who the fuck can blame them? But the cherry on top of this cake, this one shot right here. Sakuna and Maharaga staring each other down, flying through Shibuya, gods among men, two Goliath monsters in their own fucking rights, duking it out with smiles upon their faces. Now, like I said before, everything about the fight in the manga was already beautiful, but when the Blu-ray cut came out, the soundtrack, the choreography, the colors, the composition, sheer, it was just beautiful. It was impeccable. We are now officially entering the top 5 of fights. Now, by the way, if you've not already, consider subscribing. Claiming the top 5 position, Yuta versus the Sandai colony. Now, there is several of you who just sat back and rolled your eyes at the screen right now. For those who didn't, congrats on the fat cock. Hate him or love him, Yuta Akatsu consistently showed up every single time that he was on the panels. This man never once failed to put on a show. Every single time he was here, never once failed to put out an ass whooping, and he truly is this next generation's Gojo, Satoru, whether you hate him or love him or not. But this run of chapters saw Yuta boxing with and bodying Kuroroshi, Ryu, and Uura all in rapid succession, and not to mention off-screen and Druv, that dude didn't even get an introduction properly, and he did all of this while trying not to kill them so he could gain their points. Now, Yuta showed up with an insane physical prowess against seasoned veterans, folks who had lived and died through the golden ages of Jujutsu right here, and he did it with fucking finesse. Now, don't even get me started on that domain clash. Now, while Gege did really hit us with the blue balls here, regardless of what Uura or Ryu had in their arsenal right here, what we learned about Yuta's domain expansion a little bit later on down the line made it very clear just how much of a unit this man was and will always be.
俺はお前だ。俺はお前を否定したかった。ただお前を殺す。また新しい呪いとして生まれたら、そいつも殺す。名前を変えても、姿を変えても。
Entering the number 4 spot, we have Yuji versus Mahito. Now, this fight is more Yuji and Todo versus Mahito, but I'm going to focus more on Yuji's beatdown of Mahito, more specifically that Yuji versus the final form of Mahito. Now, it's crazy to say Yuji versus Mahito is one of, if not the defining storyline and the parallel of the series itself. Mahito spelling it out for Yuji that they are two sides of the same coin. He kills humans without mercy and Yuji kills cases without mercy was the wake-up call that Yuji needed to realize the situation he was actually in. And when that reality finally sinks in, we see Yuji Itadori emerge in a way that is so amazing that he makes you think he can use black flashes at will. This dude locked the fuck in, and that's the caliber of the man that we were looking at in this fight. The famous and iconic I Am You panel that was already an easy 10 out of 10 panel and chapter within the manga was elevated to levels beyond that we couldn't even comprehend with the anime, and it became iconic. It became an iconic meme as well to boot. Now, Yuji vs Mahito for me personally will forever be one of Gege's masterpieces, his opus if you will. Everything that went into that fight, it was just sublime, and splashed with a nice healthy dose of aura. Yuji locked in for that final black flash, him walking Mahito down. It was just a magnificent fight to say the least. Now, continuing the trend of Yuji greatness, sat at number 3, we have Yuji and Yuta versus Sakuna. Now, this was a tag team that we never knew we needed, but when it arrived, it brought the fucking juice. Gege set the stage for the King of Cases versus the Queen of Cases, but our queen, no, she was not alone. In fact, she was backed up by the protagonists of the series, two knights who would be the would-be original protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen and the current protagonist, both Yuta Rokotsu and Yuji Itadori. In this fight, it gave us so fucking much. Yuta's planning and preparation, Yuji finally getting to lay his hands on Sakuna in a manner that we'd not been able to see till that point. But to top it all off, we got to see Yuta Okotsu's domain expansion and the reveal of Yuji Itadori's curse techniques. Both blood manipulation and Yuji's soul punches were confirmed for us within this chapter, within this fight, and all of this all culminated in a good old-fashioned Jujutsu Kaisen beatdown. Yuji and Yuta turned this fight into a fucking dogfight, and Gege's showing us just how far that these two were willing to go within this fight. It really drove home the stakes for how desperate they were to beat Sakuna. Yuji spitting blood in Suna's face before kneeing him, Yuta slicing Suna's mouth and then ripping out his tongue on his mouth stomach. It all led to the reveal that Yuta had copied Cleave, which was later revealed to be nothing but a bluff to help Yuji out, but it was just phenomenal. Yuji and Yuta, they put on a masterclass of how to beat some ass, and while they never really got the result that we were hoping for, personally, I think it's worth celebrating nonetheless, because as a long-time fan of both Yuji and Yuta, they didn't fucking disappoint. Now, stealing the show at number 2 is Gojo vs Sakuna. Now, hold up, before you throw tomatoes at me and boo me off the stage, let me cook, because Gojo vs Sakuna is, without a doubt, one of the biggest fights to come out of Shonen in recent years. In my eyes, Gojo vs Sakuna was something that transcended the very series itself. Memes, edits, every single week it was trending, with fans wondering what the fuck was going to happen next. That series and that section of chapters had me losing sleep every Wednesday waiting for it, and if you were around this channel every Wednesday night to watch those streams unfold, you knew just what it meant within the community to watch that happen in real time. And I don't think we will see anything like that anytime soon as far as I'm concerned when it comes to manga. But Gojo vs Sakuna, each chapter had a ping pong fight on who would come out on top, who would take the advantage. Gojo beat Sakuna's ass, then Sakuna would beat Gojo's ass, then Sakuna used Maharaga, and then Gojo proceeded to 1v3 Maharaga and Mahito, and every single chapter, right down to the conclusion, was just absolutely insane. And Gege, he was truly in his fucking bag with that fight. A fight that grew way beyond his series, and I can only imagine what will happen when it's eventually animated. And the further the series continued on, it just made that fight stand out even more. It gave it more context the more we got further into the series. Now, before we get to the final pick for this top 10, I want to give a shout out to some honorable mentions here. Hikari vs Kashimo, Yuji vs Higuruma, and even though it's not really known for its aura, it's more of the goofiness side, Takaba vs Kenjaku. That might be a random one, but I recognize it wasn't too greatly received with it interrupting Yuji's appearance onto the battlefield here. I found it thoroughly enjoyable. It was a breath of fresh air in a parade of chapters that otherwise felt like depression of just everyone dying of misery right there, so it was a very enjoyable series and a little run for me. Anyways, coming in to claim the title of number 1 spot on my list is Yuji vs Sukuna, round 1 and 2. Chapters 212 to 214 And the finals chapters where Yuji and Sakuna first put hands on each other here was filled with moments that were just simply fucking unreal for me personally. Yuji getting knocked out by Sakuna, waking up and breaking a building from his jump to reach Sakuna while screaming his name, ragdolling Sakuna, and then even walking through a barrage of Sakuna's slashes. It was just simply phenomenal, genuinely. And now, before any power scalers start screaming in my comments, Sakuna scammer, he was nerfed, how can you say this? Shut up, okay, shut up. I don't care. I don't care. This panel was fucking insane. It was filled with raw aura. And when this panel dropped, it will be forever, always, a beautiful fucking panel. Cry more, I don't care about the power scalers. But to add into all of this, Yuji vs Sakuna, the finale of the series was a combination of Yuji just talking to Sakuna as well as sheer hands. And that is what Yuji did to Sakuna just before the start of round 2, just before that bell rang round 2. What Yuji did was domain expansion. And while we don't even know the name of that domain expansion, that shit doesn't even matter right now. It's the very fact that he did it. This is Yuji Itadori that we're talking about. The guy that came from fucking nothing. He literally punching and kicking dudes the entire series, finally puts his hands together, might I add, into fuck you symbols and utters the magic words domain expansion. And I couldn't say what more is how badly it caught Sakuna off guard. This man had no idea what was going on, and it echoed exactly what happened to Gojo at the end of their fight. And to top it all off, the very next chapter, right at the end, Yuji looks Sakuna square in his eyes and tells him, I can kill you, outright threatening the king of cases before finally beating the fuck out of each other. That fight, to me, meant something. It was phenomenal. A truly beautiful fight. Anyways, do you agree or disagree with this list? If you don't, let me know in the comments, but keep it respectful. Everyone's list is going to be different, and I know this might incite some violence within the comments, so keep it respectful, please and thank you. But, as always, that is everything from me. If you've liked this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and again, as always, I will catch you guys all in the next one. Much fucking love, big fucking kisses, peace.